Or yeah, so definitely ask questions along the way. We'll try to answer as we go. Feel free to, yeah. If you're thinking something, ask it. And if we'll try to save some time at the end as well so we can, get to anything we maybe didn't answer along the way. And with that, I think we are live, so we should kick it off.
All right, let's do it.
Let me share my screen. Hopefully you all can see this.
Yeah, looks great.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the workshop goal and who we are. So the workshop goal is just to learn how to build full stack AI agents with Mastra and CopilotKit. We'll talk a little bit about what we've been working on together, the two of us, and we will then, talk a little bit about how we actually did it. I see a hand raised, so maybe if you drop a message in the chat, feel free, Atai or Avi or Yuli to interrupt. So talk a little bit about who we are. So introduce Abi here. He's also on your video screen. He's the one of the founders and he's the CTO of Mastra. He was previously at Gatsby with me and Netlify with me, and he's never seen snowfall, even though he has visited me when I lived in South Dakota as well, but never seen snow. Someday. So I was also at Gatsby and Netlify. I built a service called Audio Feed. I've been spending a lot of time, a lot of my life in open source software, and I'm one of the founders and chief product officer of Mastra. Also excited to introduce Atai. He's the co-founder and CEO of CopilotKit. He was previously at Meta, Doximity, and follow him in all the places at Atai IAM.
Great to be here.
And then Marcus, who might be jumping in potentially. This is a picture of him in some grass, but Marcus is here. And also, we don't have a slide for Yuli, but Yuli's also here too. He might jump in and answer some questions. So let's talk a little bit about what Mastra is, and then we'll pass it over and talk a little bit about CopilotKit. But Mastra is an open source AI agent framework for TypeScript. It comes out of the box with agents that can have tools, they can have memory, you can trace all the interactions. We have state machine-based workflows for more deterministic workflows or more agentic workflows. We have an evals package, we have storage for RAG pipelines, and it's all kind of bundled up into a local development playground to make your local development experience while you're building AI agents much easier.
Awesome. So yeah, again, great to be here, Shane and Abby. I'm very excited for our partnership. So CopilotKit builds infrastructure for bringing agents into your front-end applications, right? So for user interactive agents, or copilots as opposed to fully autonomous agents. Yeah, this is our getting started. You want to go to the next slide, Shane? Awesome. So at a very high level, CopilotKit's mission is to bridge human and artificial intelligence. We believe that for the foreseeable future, the set of tasks that humans plus AI can tackle is far larger and more interesting than what just humans or just AI can tackle. And specifically that, over the next few years, uh, uh, most of the productivity time of most knowledge workers is going to be spent working alongside AI agents. And obviously, we're getting a huge preview of that nowadays with developer tools. But same is going to be coming for lawyers and insurance providers and product managers. Yeah, excited to build the infrastructure facilities at scale with all the agent folks. So some of the things you get with CopilotKit, which we'll see kind of live very soon, is the basic building blocks that you need in order to bring agents into applications. So we'll talk about chat and generative UI. There's both headless versions and pre-built components, agentic generative UI, state management for bidirectional state synchronization between the app and the agent, real-time context enrichment, human in the loop and human on the loop, and even some front-end tool calls, which we'll also see in play soon. Yeah. A little bit about CopilotKit. CopilotKit is open source, aiming to be the default choice for building these user interactive agents. We have over 18,000 GitHub stars, tens of thousands of weekly installs, powering millions of CopilotKit interactions, including top Silicon Valley unicorns all the way to the even Fortune 100s. but also, hobbyists and folks playing out. So kind of aiming to serve the full spectrum of folks. And today we're really happy to partner with Mastra over the AGUI protocol, which stands for the Agent User Interaction Protocol, which standardizes a lot of the interactions you need in order to support these building blocks, which will then also allow us to scale this to many, many different types of clients over time.
And you're getting a sneak preview of this. It's going to go live next week.
Yes, yes. A sneak preview to the folks here in this call. This is going to officially go live next week.
And for those on the live stream, don't leak it.
Yep.
Yeah, don't link it. We'll know.
So AGI essentially serves as a bridge between the agent, and we will see this with the master agents very soon, and the front end application. So all the back and forth communication flows through this protocol to facilitate these user interactive agents.
So let's talk a little bit about an example that we built that uses a Mastra agent and uses CopilotKit for the front end interactions. So we have a pretty active Discord at Mastra, and we kept having a lot of questions where as a team we were wondering why are these questions getting asked? They're clearly in our docs, but what we realized is our docs weren't always easy to find. When you have a lot of documentation, it's often hard to find where something is or what you're looking for. And so the solution was, we should probably just build a simple chatbot that you can use to talk to the docs. And that will hopefully help solve some of your user problems so they can get their questions answered much more quickly. And so we did that. So you can see here, you can ask questions. It'll ask an agent. You can either search the docs or you can just have the agent kind of tell you about a topic. And we're going to show today how we built that, kind of what the structure is of how the underlying Mastra agent works, how we started building that, and then the interactions of how we built the UI to make it all come together. And so with that, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hand it over to Abby, where we'll give a demo and kind of show some code.
All right. Hello, everyone. So first thing I want to share is just Mastra. Maybe some of you here have never used it. So I will essentially recreate a mediocre version of the Docs chatbot, hopefully in 5 minutes. So let's do that. You can create Mastra with npx create Mastra. Let me give this a couple clicks, to make sure it's for readability. And this will go through a CLI that'll help you get started. So let's do that. We'll call it my mediocre docs chatbot. Installing dependencies. I always wish they played like elevator music during npm install.
It's a good hackathon idea.
Yeah.
So I had, at one of our workshops, I played elevator music, but then when I uploaded it to YouTube, it said I can't, I should be careful about playing that music. So now we no longer play elevator music.
That an agent.
We need royalty-free elevator music.
Yeah, I mean, it did say it just warned me, so that this one was okay to use, but.
And I'll just pick OpenAI. I'm not going to add a key for this example right now. Sure. And I did gloss over this because we're about to build something similar, but you can bring this Docs chatbot experience to your IDE. We have a section here, but because we're like building our own, let's just gloss over that. That doesn't exist right now. So let's go to the mediocre chatbot. Off the bat, I'll give you an introduction to the code base real quick, but we need to add some more modules because we're going to do some cool stuff. But the base Mastra is a backend, like a backend technology. We essentially are a control plane for the agent and all AI type of work that you need to do. We have agent primitives. We have also, in this world of AI, you need to store data somewhere. We have memory and all the things that you'll need. We also have workflows. We're not going to go into that right now. But we also have deep integrations with MCP. We're launching our A2A integration soon. So like us being a control plane is where we kind of sit. And At the end of like Mastra has a build process. So if you export Mastra here and you run it through Mastra build, it'll turn it into a Hono server. So now you're actually a control plane. You can deploy it to any cloud provider, and you'll be good to go. So if I want to add a Docs chatbot agent, I need to create an agent. So that's what I'm going to do first. And I got to move fast because I don't have much time. So I'll do Docs chatbot. And we have this agent primitive, so you just do new agent. It takes a name, and you can pass it instructions. I'm already vibe coding, as you can see. I call it tab vibes. I'm just gonna go with it, and that's cool. But we do need a way to like understand what Mastra is and all that stuff. So big trend that we've seen in the community is when open source projects and dev tools create MCP servers that are actually useful, that are encapsulate their docs. And that allows you to bring all that knowledge into your IDE or to agents so they can then, when doing a task, look up the docs. And because you wrote the docs, your agent is only good as your docs. So if you have crappy docs, then you probably have a crappy experience. And we've learned this firsthand because our docs aren't always like great. We make them better, and then the certain things that the agent can then understand and teach us when we're asking questions, it gets better. So how do we do this? I need a library we have called MCP. It's our MCP. We have a bunch of MCP primitives too, if you're interested in that, but we're not talking about that yet or today. So I'll install MCP. Very cool. I'm gonna just make an MCP client here. New MCP client. I think it did not import. That's okay. There you go. You can give this an ID so you don't instantiate the same MCP client multiple times. And then we can pass in our MCP like server. So we'll just call this Master Docs. And in the MCP kind of configuration, you have a command which will be npx because we published our docs module on npm, and this is definitely the wrong name. And then args, we'll do yes because we are going to install it, and then it's at Mastra MCP doc server, and then we can just do at latest. Okay, so now you have this MCP client. Well, we want to give our agent tools. So let's do that. And let's get tools. And if I run Mastra dev, which is our dev playground, as you can see, I was saying like the Mastra turns into a server, right? Like the control plane turns into a server. So then we also have like a playground on top of it. And you can also look at Swagger. Hey, Swagger is so old. I'm just throwing that out there, but I still like it. It's so ugly too. But anyway, you can see all the APIs, right? So it is like very much turns your whole Mastra instance into an API, and then you can call it. And I am definitely running out of time, so let me keep going. And I just want to show. Oh, I didn't actually do anything with this agent, right? So I need to pass it to Mastra docs chatbot. The dev server will reload, which is dope. And then hopefully I see my docs chatbot. And then you can see I have tools right here on the right. And these are all the tools that we made in our docs MCP server. We have Master blog, which is like if you want to like read the blog, I guess, if you care what we say. Docs and examples though, and the changes are really good tools to have to then do this. Okay, so I want to test this. The problem is I didn't put my OpenAI key. So give me like 1 second. I don't want you to see that. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'll reshare. Give me 1 sec. Is sorry. And then I'll get back in here. Oh, I just showed some other API keys. God damn it. Anyway, let's have the roll of them. Okay, so what is Mastra? And that's it's a general thing. I didn't. Okay, so please use. So let's just tell it to use a tool, just so it can get the about workflows. So you can see it calls this like tool call, which is then going to go look into the docs and then get back all the things that are necessary. Cool. So that's just like our mediocre docs agent because I just vibe coded the instructions. Now let me show you what we actually did for our docs, and then I'll wrap this thing up. So let me switch that here, and then this is the not mediocre docs agent. As you can see, when you start doing stuff for real and like users start using your things, the system prompt gets a lot bigger because the agent starts doing some dumb stuff. So you have to like actually start understanding the use cases, and then we have like critical rules, which we didn't always have. It just started messing up, so we started adding these. And so the tools though are the same because it's the same doc server here and with this. And then if we go to Mastra AI, and if we go to our docs, and we go here, just
Oh, we're just seeing your code.
oh, I'm sorry, 1 second. And Zoom window is on my way. What is memory in Mastra? Let's see. Cool. And this is all using CopilotKit. So, and honestly, it's one line and use all of CopilotKit's functionality with one line from us, which is great because AGUI protocol allows you to do interoperability like that, which is dope. Props to them. So last thing to share, I'm sorry, but I need to find it. Let's, I'm gonna stop sharing again, once again, my bad. It is right here. Okay, sorry. Last thing, and I'm done. I promise. This is we use Nextra for docs. A lot of people do. Nextra is kind of okay. I'm just gonna put that out there. And then we use CopilotKit's runtime and AGUI is this protocol. So in our Mastra client, we transform our agent. We have a protocol too. Everyone's got a protocol, right? So Mastra's got a protocol. We transform it to AGUI, and boom, we pass it into the runtime. And then now the homies at CopilotKit will take this over. Thank you.
Awesome demo, Avi. Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually how quickly you can get something that's actually extremely useful for day-to-day work for real. You know, like we've all gotten spoiled with these agents last year and a half, but imagine, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna take 10 minutes and build something that tells me everything I need to know about my dogs. Very cool. Yeah, so kind of picking up from where Abby left it off, I'm gonna walk through a few of the building blocks that AGUI provides. So now we saw chat in action, but there's a bunch more. So I'm gonna walk through these. You know, before I see there's a bunch of questions. What is AGUI? Who's behind it? How does it compare to the other protocols? So all great questions. So just to really briefly address this, let me actually maybe just first share my screen. So again, you guys are all getting a sneak preview, but AGUI is an open protocol. CopilotKit is shepherding it based on extremely practical needs we've seen from folks building user interactive agents over the last year. It's an open protocol, very lightweight, event-based protocol that is designed to be kind of maximally accommodating. And then in terms of the building blocks and then everything, all the examples you guys have seen, by the way, you can check it out on our website. You'll find it somewhere, either in the documentation or if you go to the GitHub, you'll find it. So here's this feature viewer we've built to kind of show a bunch of the building blocks of AGUI. Actually, before I move forward, how does this compare with the other protocols out there, right? So the biggest ones are MCP, A2A. MCP, you can think of it as giving your agent tools and context, like we just saw in play right now. A2A is how agents communicate with other agents, right? Agent to agent protocol. AGUI is Agent User Interaction Protocol. So it's how your agent talks to the user. So you have, agent to tools, that's MCP, agent to other agents, that's A2A, and then agent to user, that's AGUI. So anyways, without further ado, this is this feature view. It's very, very simple building blocks. So we have here, each feature here is about 50 to 100 lines of code or so, designed to be very simple. We have the code and the actual thing side by side. And the first example, first but not least, is chat. So the CopilotKit front-end client gives you kind of the full spectrum from fully headless UI that just gives you the data that goes inside of these messages, including generative UI and other things we'll see soon. So you can get just the data as headless UI, all the way to pre-built components that you can just customize with either custom CSS or custom subcomponents, so kind of supporting the full spectrum. Here, in order to kind of make this a little bit, less boring, we threw a gimmick of setting of a front-end tool call that sets the background color. So let's tell it, make the background a purple gradient. And hopefully the demo gods are with us. Okay, here it is. Let's make it more gradienty. Not gradient enough. All right, now it's a little bit more gradienty. So this is chat in action. To show you the code, again, extremely simple. Very few lines of code here. First, the chat component. In this case, we are actually using. So actually, before that, you just wrap the part of the application that needs to communicate with the CopilotKit provider that connects to the CopilotKit runtime, which can be either self-hosted, again, open source, or hosted on our cloud. And then in this case, we're agent locking to this agentic chat agent. There's other ways to use CopilotKit with kind of agent routing. You can have multiple agents actually associated with a single part of the application, and CopilotKit will route to the right agent based on whatever is happening. But in this case, we're just using the pre-built CopilotKit chat. You see here, we can provide it with CSS. You can actually customize the internal CSS as well. But very straightforward. And then the front-end tool call, all we had to do is add this use Copilot action hook, which you can pepper anywhere in the application where it makes sense to. So kind of designed to be very easy to make it a drop-in addition to an application. In this case, we have the change background tool. We tell tool what it is, and then just call the handler. In this case, sending the background color. So extremely straightforward. Going to slightly more advanced use case, we have here human in the loop. So here we have an agent that's designed, whenever you ask it to do something, it's going to respond with a plan for the user to review and approve. So let's say we want to go to Mars. So what's our plan here? So you see we get here this component that we can interact with for the plan. Now, the nice thing is the input to this component is fully general JSON objects. The output back to the agent is also fully general JSON objects. And then whatever you render here is a fully custom React component. You fully control it. So it's fully customizable. Basically, all the plumbing is getting taken care of. So let's prove the steps, see what the agent has for us in mind. You saw it respected the plan that we selected there. So once again, we have the same kind of overall structure. Now, in this case, it's the same overall structure because it was the same page. But anyways, in this case, we have, again, use Copilot action once again. We specify the types of arguments that we expect to get. This is for getting full type safety. And then, so in this case, we have, the list of operations we might want to do, and if they're enabled or disabled. And then we have this render and wait for response callback, which just returns any general React component, right? So you get the arguments and with full support for streaming, for security. Sometimes there's things you don't want to stream to the front end. All this just works out of the box. So you just render whatever React component you want. And then there's this respond callback. So whenever the user is ready to move on, you just call the callback and the information flows back to the agent. So again, very little friction on the developer side. And this works, once again, both with the headless UI, which will just give you, here's the component that's supposed to be rendered in this part of the chat. and as well as with the pre-built components that are just going to inject it automatically. So yeah, that's human loop. Very, very simple. Human loop, by the way, it's important because agents are generally not 100% right, as we all know, right? So if you add this ability for the human to put things back on track and to nudge things in the right direction, an agent that might be right 80% of the time goes from just something that's cool to something that you can actually put in production out there, because you're giving the users the ability to nudge things back on track. Another example here is tool-based generative UI. So, we've seen chat in the example, but you don't have to have just chat in here. So we saw this with human loop, but you can also see this with just plain rendering of tool calls, which we also saw in the docs example earlier. So this is a haiku agent. Let's say we may want to make a haiku about AI agents. So this is going to call a tool on the other side and render this component here. And the nice thing here is this component is fully integrated into the whole application. So if we press apply here, it's actually modifying the rest of the application state. So that's pretty neat. We actually have a bunch more demos that I want to show that we're augmenting this other demo viewer. So I'll just show it here for a second. And here you actually, have other features of CopilotKit you get kind of for free here with, for example, suggestions. So agentic generative UI, that helps you show what the agent is doing as it's doing it, right? The agent can oftentimes run for a bit, not just for a few seconds. So we can visualize to the user what the agent is doing as it's doing it. Both keeping the users engaged and also allowing for some agent nudging if needed, if the agent is on the wrong trajectory. And again, very, very simple. You have this use coagent state render. You get the state of the agent, and with efficient streaming automatically taken care of, you just return whatever React component you want. So that's what we're doing in this case. Another cool one is, let me try to make this a little bit bigger. Oh, look, the Zoom thing is conflicting. All right, maybe I'll make this. Okay, there we go. So this showed shared state between the agent and the application. So we have this recipe builder here, and let's say let's go with one of the suggestions to create a recipe for spicy pasta. So you see that as the agent's own state is updating when it's running, the state of the application is updated as well, and it's represented in native application UI. And the syncing here goes both ways. So I can delete this thing. I can change the settings here. Let's make it vegan, not just vegetarian and dairy free. And I can tell it make it less spicy, simpler. It's also now an intermediate, so pay attention to that, and respect my new preferences. So hopefully if the demo goes with us, there we go. So it's now using beginner mode. There's no more cheese or anything. It's vegan and dairy free. It's one of those, and and everything is working. So that's another kind of cool example. We have a bunch of other things like that. I'm not sure if let's see if we can do this one really quickly. This shows predictive state updates. So sometimes the actual full state of the agent is going to take a while to figure out, but what it's going to be kind of intermediately. So here, this is not such a short story. Okay, let's confirm this. What I want to show here is, let's say we want to, change the name of the captain to Jessica. I have Laura, let's do Jessica. So you see here, as the predicted state is updating, we get these updates in real time, can represent it in application state. And actually, I skipped before showing the code part here. So you see here, for shared state, all you need to do is use this use co-agent hook, and it gives you state and set state as if it was just normal React application where you'd use local state with use state. Use co-agent just gives you state and set state. They're automatically bidirectionally synced with the agent, again, with security, if there's fields that should only stay on the backend, and efficient streaming automatically taken care of. So every time you only stream the delta as the state is updating, not the full thing. Yeah, so these are kind of the building blocks. And then I want to very quickly show an example of a type of application you can build with all like a bunch of these building blocks put together. So here we have, research canvas, very simple kind of hello world type application. And let's say we want to research, the life cycle of penguins. Let's for some reason this is one shot on me. Let's say we know the type of structure we want this to have, so we can have uh, um, pre-hatching, youth, um, adulthood, maybe parenthood, and then end of life. And I can tell it, help me with this research. So first you'll see it knows what the research is about because it has access to all the state of the application. As it's going to go search the web, we see with agentic generative UI what the agent is doing as it's doing it. When the agent figures out the resources that it wants to fetch here, we see this in real time in application state. We can edit this too if we wanted to. And then finally, when the agent is writing the draft, it knows the structure and it's going to follow the outline that I laid out for it. So that's this in action. If we wanted to show here, for example, human in the loop, let's say we want to delete the least prestigious resource. You see it's going to ask me for confirmation because it's a destructive operation. So here we accept this and delete. And yeah, this just throws a bunch of the building blocks we saw before. This type of application is surprisingly very, very easy to build. If we had another 10 minutes, I would build this in real time. But that's for another webinar. Yeah.
All right, we have a whole bunch of Q&A that we can maybe start answering some of the questions that we didn't have a chance to answer yet. We do have one question was just on how Mastra compares to other, what are we competing with? We're very similar to other frameworks, but very different in a lot of ways as well. So you should, definitely compare us to LangChain, LangGraph, but we're biased, but we think we're better. So otherwise we wouldn't be here. But there's many other frameworks that are out there. Not as many in the TypeScript, JavaScript world though. So another question was, does AGUI sit between CopilotKit / React Core and CopilotKit / Runtime, replacing the GraphQL calls, or is it just between CopilotKit / Runtime and the agents?
Yeah, well, that's an expert question. So happy to dig into this in more detail if you want to reach out. Not sure who the question is from, but
it looked like Tyler tried to answer and said there's a conversion step that happens in the runtime to translate between GraphQL and AGUI, but there'll be a deeper integration. So I don't know if that's the right answer, but it sounds good to me.
That's right. Tal is one of our founding engineers.
Yeah, he knows what's up.
He knows what's up.
There's some questions on how it's connected via code. So how is Mastra connected to the CopilotKit UI? Asking if we have to wait for the AGUI update next week.
No, so it's secretly already released. So yeah, don't tell anybody, but we, not yet launched. And yeah, the way AGUI works is basically it defines a set of 16 events that as the agent is running, it needs to emit one of these 16 events. And actually the protocol is very accommodating. It's again designed to be maximum accommodating. So it's agnostic to how these events are emitted. It can be SSEs, it can be webhooks, can be WebSockets, can be whatever folks want. And it's also actually doesn't have to be exactly the same events, just have to be events that are compatible with the AGUI events because the protocol has this intermediate layer for translation built into it. Having said that, there is a reference implementation for kind of an HTTP-based server that Mastra, I think, is using here for cases that are there's no reason not to use it. I think we do expect that to be kind of the main way people use it, but again, the protocol doesn't require that. And yeah, so basically the agent emits a bunch of these events as it's running. There's the AGUI layer that intercepts these and translates to different clients. In this case, the CopilotKit React client that knows how to turn that into front-end headless state that then can be retranslated to these built-in components. By the way, our own components are built with our own headless structures. So you can do anything basically with a headless layer as well. And yeah, and then the agent also needs to be able to accept some inputs back from the user. So to allow for the other side of the interactivity. So input, output, and yeah, everything works.
And Atai, one question was about like not just on the protocol level, but on the implementation level, how Master and CopilotKit get hooked into each other. I think it would be worth like digging into some code there and showing people like
Yeah,
how
Abby, do you want to
like
give it a shot? What do you think?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to show?
Um, maybe the kind of AGUI implementation of the master agent.
Sure.
And while Abby's getting that pulled up, there's another question. So a few more questions. Looks like Abby answered one. Does Mastra support speech to speech? So we do have speech to speech features. We are consistently making them better, but we do have the support for that. There's a question, is there any benefit to creating agents in TypeScript or JavaScript over Python? I think it does depend just on your preference. There's some really nice things about doing it in TypeScript, which is, type safety by default. That's one of the most common things we hear. It's also nice sometimes if your front end is built in JavaScript and TypeScript that your back end is built in the same language, so you don't have to have teams familiar with multiple languages or go back between different languages. I think we definitely think it made sense for Python to be the dominant language when AI was first getting started, but as there's really no reason if you're just interacting with models and APIs that it needs to be in Python. So we're seeing many more people starting to use TypeScript for building out AI agents. And then one last question before you jump in, Abby, and show that. Is there any plans to release support for Vue.js on the CopilotKit side?
Yeah, we want to expand. So that's one of the advantages of AGUI. It allows us to expand this both to other web frameworks, to mobile. There's actually even some work being done with AWS for a text messaging based client. So in South America and Asia, people use WhatsApp and things like that for everything. So imagine if you can interact with agents through text message, and it's not just text, right? You have the full human in the loop, carousel capabilities. Apparently, there's a new protocol that brings all these capabilities to standard text messages as well, called RCS. So anyways, AGUI can allows to factor out the user interactivity abstractions and then bring that everywhere. But yes, and if you're
and
interested
there's a community fork of CopilotKit that's in Vue. I don't know how up to date it is, but a team in China shipped it. It's pretty cool.
yep. Yeah, and in general, you can also bring specifically React. There's ways to bring React um, building blocks into Vue, into Angular, into all these things. So if you're interested in that, let's talk. And there are teams doing this even in production. So
All right, let's show off how we pulled this off. We have in Mastra, we have an AGUI adapter. I increase this a couple clicks. So what I'm about to say is this was very simple. Marcus from CopilotKit and I think we spent more time just hanging out, to be honest. Because CopilotKit or AGUI has these events, and as long as you fulfill the contract, you can play the game. So that's what we did. So you set up an observable using RxJS. I have some opinions about that, but I'm not going to say them right now. And then we have to convert our message format to the right message format. So we're like a little handler for that. Then you just start sending these events. So there's a run started, then we call our stream call. And so this is like a Mastra agent calling the stream method, and we're passing client tools that CopilotKit and AGUI defines what those tools are. We pass those through the messages, and then we use thread and resource IDs to do memory. So but the cool thing about Mastra and CopilotKit is if you're using our features and then you add the AGUI piece and then as well as all the front end components, you kind of get the benefit of like all this stuff put together, which is great. So then while this stream is happening, we are listening to different parts of the stream. So on text parts, when it's finished, tool calls, etc. We're going to add more stuff. This is like our first I mean, this is like our first thing. Plus, we're not even launched yet. So anyway, until next week. But yeah, so this is, like I said, was very straightforward. When you start, like when you build software based on like events and event structures, you can become a very integrative technology. So it's really cool that both of our sides can do something like this. You should read a book called Enterprise Software Integration Patterns, and then maybe it'll help you help you appreciate it. And that's it.
You should read it retroactively too. And yeah, huge props to Marcus, the brain behind the AGUI protocol. I don't know if he's here.
He
He's
is.
listening.
I think I saw him join.
Okay, cool.
I'll maybe yeah, why not? We'll invite him. We did have someone that had raised their hand. Looks like we didn't get to answer your question. If you still have it, please raise your hand again. We can certainly let you uh ask your question, through your microphone if you want as well. We got a little bit of time, so we can maybe just do a couple. All right, Adam, you're gonna be up. So Adam, you're live.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Um, yeah, I sorry if I missed this. I just joined. But I've been building out agents the last couple months, and I think one thing that I keep running into is the problem around authentication. Like for example, if you go to Smithery or any like NCP marketplace website right now, usually you have to, put in API keys, and that's not the best like user experience. And I noticed you guys have authenticated actions. Like I'd love to see that in in a demo of like calling like an MCP tool that, let's just say, connects to your Google Calendar, and then when the end user needs to authenticate into like Google, like having some sort of UI component that notifies the user, hey, we need to log into Google, logs into Google, and also talk about like how that token is stored and where that token is stored.
You gave us so we were talking about this so we don't have an example of this right now. But we were talking about building one yesterday. So it's kind of timely. Because the ideal UX in our opinion was taking it a step further, which is what maybe we were even thinking crazier, but like, what if you didn't know what tool you needed and the agent would like have to then figure it out? And then if it's like Google, it has to ask you like, hey, I need permission to do this next action. You off, you come back, now you're in business. That's a whole flow of things that need to happen. And I don't know if that's anyone's cracked it yet, but I think we're probably the people to do it. So, because we're already thinking about that. So I don't have a good answer for you other than that we're thinking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Oh God.
no, I was just gonna add that I think this is definitely coming. It's just a matter of figuring out the right abstractions, kind of getting enough standardization around the whole OAuth flow. But yeah.
All right, Adam, thanks for your question. All right, do we have anyone else that has questions? We have just a few more minutes here before we can wrap up. You can either drop it in the chat or raise your hand if you want to, ask it live. And we will, just as we will be sharing the code. You've probably already seen it in the chat if you're following along. If you're tuning in live, we will post this as well. Follow in these channels that you're watching, whether you're on X or YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever. We'll share this. So kind of just keep an eye out. We'll share it here soon, and so you can see the code. But it is all it's all public. We're trying to get it out there so you can see how you can build some of these things, and you can learn from the examples we built and build even cooler things than what we showed here today. And yeah, so let's see. What are the plans or next steps to expand the AGUI integration for Mastra?
We will fully support it. So
Yeah, so
Put some
the stuff you
Slack,
saw,
put in some
shared
Slack.
state, yeah. Yeah, the whole shebang. And AGUI itself is also going to continue to evolve and add functionality carefully, but also intentionally.
And someone asked if we're going to get the recording. It's already, technically it's live on YouTube right now, and CopilotKit will be sharing it out as well on their YouTube, I believe. So there's, you'll get it. And if anyone that attended this live, we'll get an email as well once we get it all processed. Give us a little time after the event to get it all put together, and we'll send it out. So question is, just to confirm, the Mastra client with Get AGUI is out now?
Yes, but only if you're on this call.
Yes, yep, yeah, exactly.
Others walk
Yes.
away.
Right.
Yeah, yes, Leo, it is out now, but we have not officially announced it yet. So, you can
Yeah,
try to you're getting the sneak peek today.
right. But I think you get the in the doc in the links we'll share. You can go to the docs and start building, and it's all live on both our sides right now. But yeah, expect documentation things like that to improve a little bit more by next week, the official launch. But yeah, it's ready to build. And as you saw, also the featured viewer, you can see the code of the agent and the front end side by side with the actual running thing. So that kind of serves as living documentation, if you will.
So we had a question on MCP integration. Does the MCP integration support just tools or resources/prompts as well? Abby, I don't know if you want to take that one.
We're going to be fully compatible with the MCP spec. So yeah, we're working on that too.
Yeah, today it's just tools, but we are working on supporting more of the spec.
And the MCP inspector and all that. So
And someone had a question on shared state. Let me find it. Any chance for shared state to expand beyond React hooks?
Yeah, so the AGUI layer defines it, agnostic of any front end technology. The React hook is kind of the client side implementation of this. I'm curious if whoever asked this, if you're asking this in the context of using this in React application with with different hooks, or if you're asking to just use it outside of React applications. Because if it's inside of React applications, I actually would really be curious to hear the use case for having a React application by using a different mechanism from hooks. I would use Redux, so that's the answer. Yep. Yeah, so you could still use Redux and just have it communicate with the hooks, but makes sense. And yeah, we actually could think of having pre-built Redux integrations there. I think that's we love the contribution actually, if anybody's interested in that or open source.
All right, and maybe while we get close to wrapping up here, why don't we have a few slides we will kind of wrap up on. And then, if you do have more questions, please continue to ask. We might have time to answer one or two more. But let's go ahead and share some links. So for those of you that are still sticking around, you can follow Abby or myself. Just give us a star on GitHub. Check out Mastra.ai. Join our Discord if you have questions along the way. We do events like these. You can see some of the upcoming ones that we have. And we do have a hackathon next week. So if you're interested in building your first agent, the whole team will be in the Discord helping out. We'll be doing some live streams and some events along the way if you do want to get some help. If you're kind of on the fence about trying to build this, or you wanted to take the time but just haven't done it yet, it's a good opportunity to just, if you submit anything, we have some prizes. So learn about that by going to master.build. And I'll pass it over to you, Atai.
Yeah, same for us. So yeah, go give us a star on GitHub. Always appreciated. Join our Discord. We try to be pretty active about answering any types of questions, and there's other folks who can answer you too, just from the community. You can subscribe to our Luma to find out more events like this. And yeah, the getting started master docs, most importantly, the last link there at the bottom. So yeah, you can go and start building what you just saw here right now. Keep it a secret until next week. And then afterwards, go tell all your friends.
Yeah, stay tuned for the launch next week of AGUI. You can comment when you bump across it in the wild that you were there early. Be looking forward to those.
Yeah, and there it is. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're excited for that. That's coming soon, early next week. Yeah, to get started with Mastra, just run npm create Mastra from your CLI and you can get started. And with that, I didn't see any last questions come in, so maybe we should wrap it up. Unless anyone else saw any.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's wrap it up, everyone.
Cool.
It was good to see you all. Thanks for attending, and we hope to see you at future events.